Alright, the business of today is windows. We're going to do casement windows, which is just a square frame, rail, style, bottom rail, other style. And we'll have the other window, which is a regular double hung window, like one of the old ones that you see in some of these older homes. We're going to build the ones that you can replace yourself. Now, you'll have to understand it takes too much, it takes a large amount of industrial tools to duplicate one exactly. In other words, what I'm saying is that where you have, this is out of an old window, by the way, to where you have a machine that does the mortise, or excuse me, the tenon, and then you have another machine that does the mortise, to where these would pretty much slip together. You know, we're not going to do them. We're going to build a frame, and we're going to put them together with screws. And the screws you need to use are exterior screws that would hold up like for in a deck. You can use dowels, that's fine. If you have a way to do a mortise and tenon joint, that's wonderful. Go ahead and do it. On the shutter tape that if you have gotten one in the past, has a little segment on there about mortise and tenons. And it's if you want to use it, you can. But all we're going to do, we're going to set up to do a square butt lap joint, and that's where we cut everything in for the glass. It's a butt joint, but it's also a lap joint, which is real good for stability to keep the window together. And plus it makes it easier, so when you if you're trying to, let's just say, put some leaded glass in from an original window, well, this will get you to where you can do that without a lot of trouble. And most of your casement, which is the square one, it's flat all the way around. There's no check rail. Most of your casements are just a frame. Usually a 2-inch, and when I'm saying 2-inch, before you get to the milled edge, from this part of the fillet to the top, it's 2-inch. Sides are 2-inch. Bottom is usually 3.5. And that's for the reason they use 3 and 3.5 inch on the bottom is for the crank. The double hung window, basically the same. The only difference is that on the top you have a check rail. And I'll give you a closer look here in a minute, but it's got an angle piece so that when the window slides up and down, it will clear the upper check rail as it comes down, so that when the two go together, you've got something along those lines there. So when you raise this up and you bring it down, it gets together. That's why they call it a check rail. Other than that, then the regular double hung window, usually 2-inch side stiles. Usually 2-inch side stiles, 2 3/4 to 3-inch bottom rail. The check rail is usually 1 1/4 to 1 1/2. 90% of them are 1 3/8. But the older ones, you go back way back, they're sometimes 1 1/2. But in this case, we're going to use 1 3/8 for the upper check rail. Okay, we're going to get started. The first thing you have to do is you have to determine your glass size. If you're reusing old glass out of a casement window, which, you know, you have a lot of them that's got leaded glass, Then what you want to do is you want to determine the distance back from the edge of your stiles and rails. Normally it's 1/4 of an inch for leaded glass. If you can get more, that's great. But we're just going to work on that. We're going to come back a 1/2 inch from the edge. Okay, we come back a 1/2, and then we're going to go down. Then we're going to come 1/2 inch from the top, as we're looking at this from the top, which is really the back, but I don't want to confuse you. As we're looking at this right now, we're going to come down a 1/2 inch, because most leaded glass are usually a 1/4 of an inch thick. Sometimes they're even a little thicker. So we're going to go down 1/2 inch so we can make sure that we can get some glazing, because that's what this pencil mark here is. We're going to get some glazing across there. So we're going to come down there 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch back. Okay, we're not going to mill any of the edge. So what that's going to do is that's going to leave you with 1 inch. If this is a 2, if this is 2 1/4 inches wide, that's going to leave you with 1 3/4 inch exterior rail showing. We're 2 1/4 overall. Well, we're really about 2 5/16, but we're 2 1/4 overall. Your milled edge on the inside is a little more than 1/4, so the inside is going to be basically 2 inches showing. Now these are the sides, and the top. This doesn't have anything to do with the bottom. All right, you've determined your glass size. We're coming down a 1/2. We're going out a 1/2. So we're really going to be just cutting out this 1/2 inch piece. Now we're going to do this. What we're doing right here is what we're going to do with all 4 pieces. We're going to run this edge very first thing. Don't do anything else until you do this first. So set your saw up, and what should be the best, if you could do, set your saw up for like 1/2 inch back, 1/2 inch saw blade up. All right, we've got our blade. We're going to set our blade a 1/2 inch tall. So we're at 1/2 inch high. We're going to bring our guide over 1/2 inch, so that when we run our stuff through there, we run it flat ways, and then we turn it. We run it flat ways first, then we'll flip it and run it edgeways up. Where our glass can fit in there. We got plenty of room for glazing. We got plenty of room for our glass. Now you can make this, you can make that any size you want. You know, if you want to tear the other one apart and do it exact, that's fine. But I'm just showing this for simplicity, so that you don't get too confused. So 1/2 inch up, 1/2 inch out, you're done. Now we're going to run the other 3 pieces. pieces cut, if you're matching a window that you have in the house now, this would be your side stile. This would be your side stile, both sides. So let's just take, for example, you're taking a window out of your house, and the side stiles from the very top to the very bottom are 17 inches. You want to go ahead and cut these 17 inches. Okay, you've got your two side stiles cut. Now you've got to do the top and bottom rail. Now this is where it's going to be critical that you be careful of your measurements, or else you'll be making some new top and bottom pieces. You want the width of your glass. The width, not the height yet. The width of your glass. Take your upper and lower rail only and cut them the width of your glass plus 1/8 of an inch, which means you're going to give yourself a 1/16 of an inch on each side for your glass. I hope you understand that. The width of your glass, let's just take for example, the width of your glass is 11 3/4. You're going to cut your top and bottom rail 11 7/8, which means that's going to give you a 1/16 and a 1/16 on each side for your glass to drop in. Okay, now we're getting to the next extremely important part, the height of your glass. Lay your pieces like they go. You want the top edge of your top rail with the top edge of your side stile. Same way with the other side. Top edge, top rail, or excuse me, top edge, top rail to let it drop in your glazing rail. Okay? The width of what you have of both side stiles on the inside would be the width of your glass. In other words, what I'm saying is, from the way this rail is set in there, your glass should drop in this area, width-wise. Now we're going to do the same thing with the top. Or the bottom. Put the bottom rail in. You get the height of the glass that you're going to be installing. Now I'm going to say this again because this is really important. We're getting down to the important part of this casement window. The height of your glass